all my paranormal misfits, and welcome to the Paranormal Misfit podcast. I am your host, Chrissy, and I'm here to talk about all things paranormal and spooky. From experience that I or someone else has had, to the shows, movies, and books, to lores and legends, and to the places known for the paranormal. I'm going to talk about all of it. I myself am a believer with a healthy set of skepticism. You'll hear my thoughts and feelings about different topics revolving around the paranormal, so cozy up with your favorite beverage of choice and listen along. Good evening, my paranormal misfits. Are you guys ready for a new episode? So, tonight I will be touching on the Flatwoods Monster, or it has a couple of other extra nicknames that I've noticed. We've got Flatwoods Monster, the Braxton County Monster, Braxy, or Phantom of the Flatwoods. So this is a West Virginia folklore, which is an entity that had been reported to have been sighted in the town of Flatwoods in Braxton County, West Virginia. So let's go over the history and basically the accounts that happened in the 1950s, I believe. All right, so using all of my resources, History Channel was one of them, which I thought was great. So September 12th of 1952. The eyewitnesses of the Flatwoods Monster were 6 boys aged 10 to 17, a dog, and a mom. So what happened was, it was dusk when they saw it. The May brothers, Ed, who was 13 at the time, and Freddie, who was 12, had been playing in their schoolyard with their 10-year-old friend Tommy Heyer. After noticing a pulsing red light streak across the sky and crash on a nearby farm, the 3 youngsters ran to grab the May's boy's mother, then hightailed it up the hill to check out where the light had landed. A few other boys, one who had a dog with them, showed up too, and then they ran back down in sheer incredible terror. 7 Braxton County residents on Saturday reported seeing a 10-foot Frankenstein-like monster in the hills above the Flatwoods, a local newspaper reported. A National Guard member, 17, Jean Lemon, was leading the group when he saw what appeared to be a pair of bright eyes in the trees. Lemon screamed and fell backward, the news account stated. When he saw a 10-foot monster with a blood-red body and a green face that seemed to glow. It may have had claws for hands. It was too hard to tell because of the dense mist. This story made the local news, then got picked up by a national radio, and big newspapers all over the country started to run the story about it. So those people were the most scared people I'd ever seen, said a local newspaper publisher about the 1952 news story. Stewart himself had marched up that hill with a shotgun after witnesses told what they saw. People don't make up that kind of story quickly. Others have doubted them. The state police laughed off the reports as hysteria. They said the so-called monster had grown from 7 to 17 feet in just 24 hours. Gibson doubted too, though he's since sold 1,000 of his 12-inch ceramic green monster figurines in the last 2 years at $30 apiece. I don't believe in the Easter Bunny, Gibson says, who is an insurance agent still working at the age of 81. I don't believe in Santa, and I really don't believe in the Flatwoods Monster, but I want to boost our community. So during this time, it was said to be a frightening time in America. So there's a couple of different accounts that come with this. A lot of the debunking or the kind of like contradictions that come with this. They're stating that because it was the 1950s, this was an era of bomb threats, scares, and just like war and stuff. So it says that Americans were truly frightened in 1952, made anxious by atomic bombs and what seemed to be like a new world made by mad scientists. Even Life magazine, probably the most popular publication in the nation at the time, just a few months earlier, published a seemingly credible trend story about flying saucers or UFOs. Spook stories sprout best when the seeds land in a bed fertile with anxiety, and that was what 1952, and that was the 1952 Cold War in America, a hothouse of anger, disillusionment, anxieties, made to order for conspiracy theorists, political stories, and the tellers of the suspenseful tales. The Mays brothers' monster story hit just 3 years after the Soviet Union successfully tested an atomic bomb in 1949. The Air Force was scanning for bombers over our skies. Let's see. So you have all of this going on with the political, you had like the a couple years before this, you had the whole fears of communists infiltrating the US. And then you also had American soldiers that were in Korea by 1952. Um, let's see. Into the fertile American atmosphere of fear and death, Life dropped a bombshell headline. Have we visitors from space? The Air Force is now ready to concede that many saucer and fireball sightings still defy explanations. Life offers some scientific evidence that there is a real case of interplanetary saucers. Let's see. So, um, going back more into Flatwoods. So it was about 7:15 p.m. whenever they saw it. Man-like figure with a round red face surrounded by a pointed hood-like shape. Let's see. So, a couple of the explanations that people use to debunk our Flatwoods monster friend here is all right, so after investigating the case in 2000, Joe Nickel, the Committee of Skeptical Inquiry, concluded that the bright light in the sky reported by witnesses on September 12th was most likely a meteor that was pulsating red light that the pulsating red light was likely an aircraft navigation or a hazard beacon, and that the creature described by witnesses closely resemble an owl. Nichols suggested the witnesses' perceptions were distorted by their heightened state of anxiety. Nichols' conclusions are also shared by a number of investigators, including those of the Air Force, which I think is funny. And it's ironic that at the time of recording, now all of a sudden the government has confirmed that there is alien life. So we're just going to keep rolling with it. Um, so the night of the September 12th sighting, a meteor had been observed across 3 states, which was Maryland, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. According to Nickel, 3 flashing red aircrafts. Sorry, there's like something flying around. Where was I? Okay. According to Nickel, 3 flashing red aircraft beacons were also visible from the area of the sightings, which could account for the descriptions of the pulsating red light and the red tint to the face of the supposed monster. Nickel concluded that the shape of the movement, the sounds reported by witnesses were also consistent with a silhouette, flight pattern, and a call of a startled barn owl perched on a tree limb, leading researchers to conclude the foliage beneath the owl may have created an illusion of the lower portions of the creature, described to be like a pleated green skirt. Now, I love seeing the pictures of the Flatwoods Monster. I have a Flatwoods Monster candle. I just bought a Flatwoods Monster shirt. And I really found this cute little plushie on Etsy. I'm just saying, Etsy's like a gold mine for cute little cryptid stuff. Anyways, yeah. So researchers also concluded that The witness's inability to agree on whether or not the creature had arms, combined with May's report of it having small claw-like hands, which extended in front of it, also matched the description of a barn owl, with its talons gripping the tree branch. According to skeptic Ryan Haput, even though local boy Max Lockard admitted he had driven around the site hoping to see something in his Chevy truck, paranormal investigators concluded that the track's oily residue and bits of rubbery substance may have been left behind by the creature and not the truck. Haput explained nausea reported by some of the witnesses as a symptom of consistent with hysteria and overexertion, which, makes sense. Let's see. Two fallible beams. So this is the first and only appearance of the Flatwoods Monster, because the Flatwoods Monster has never reappeared. Flatwoods does celebrate its anniversary with a festival. There's an annual convention held in Flatwoods. And it's gotten a sizable following, kind of like that of Mothman and Bat Boy and other West Virginia's wild. Guys, it's wild. It's wild for some monsters. And it was funny, I was trying to find some TV shows that had been trying to search for this monster. And maybe you guys can help me. I could have sworn Josh Gates was one of them, and maybe he wasn't. Maybe they just touched on the subject of it, or maybe the one I'm confusing it with. Because I also know they do the Mothman episode on Expedition X, but I think between Expedition X of the Mothman and the Flatwoods Monster, I think because with both of them, they tend to kind of go with like the birds as like the conventional, this is how we're going to debunk this. That's why I might be getting it confused, but I could have sworn Josh Gates did an episode on Flatwoods Monster. I could wholeheartedly be wrong. Couldn't find one by our fearless leaders of mountain monsters, but again, I could have gotten it confused because after reading this and noticing that it does have a couple of different nicknames, that might be why it's a little bit a little harder to find. But I also think that it was absolutely ironic. So yeah, I think it's absolutely ironic because I decided to do this episode on the Flatwoods Monster, and then this whole week leading up to me recording it today, we had the whole US like now stating that yes, aliens are in fact real, and we've had some, and there's some here, and all this stuff, right? But now no one's really surprised or even remotely amused by it. I guess I don't know. It's hard to tell. So I think it's interesting because there has been some really good series I have caught recently on Max, which is also incorporated with Discovery Plus. Let me actually pull up Max real quick because I highly actually, I really do recommend this particular series. And it's Ben Hansen, who is one of the paranormal investigators from like the Ghost Town shows. God, where's my Max on here? Sorry, guys, I'm looking at my phone. But anyway, so I started on accident, how I always find shows, just watching it, right? And there's a couple of different variations of the show. That's what I'll call it. There it is. But it all revolves around aliens. And yesterday I thought it was really intriguing because you have, and now I'm getting a little off topic, but not really, because technically the Flatwoods Monster isn't really a monster. They're considering more of an extraterrestrial, right? So with that being said, Um, well, do. So, anyways, with that being said, um, the whole thing that I had realized about this is that it's all kind of the same. Um, oh, I guess I needed to update. I'm sorry. So, anyways, getting back to the extraterrestrial parts. So with this, they talk to different accounts, and I think it's really interesting because when you're watching the show, it's showing you in the different areas. And oh, I really am getting off subject, so maybe this one isn't necessarily just about the Flatwoods. This is just going to be about extraterrestrials in general. So with that, what's bad is I can't remember what my HBO is. So with that being said, oh, there it is. Thank you. Is that so when you're looking at the Northeast, which I guess is or isn't, when they were showing the different regions of the U.S. Um, for the Northeast seems to deal with more of the insect like extraterrestrials. So ones that look like mantises or just bugs, right? And they're saying that in the Northeast, they get the more cold-hearted, I guess, calculated scientific type of it, because in the Northeast, especially around the areas of like I believe it was like Connecticut, New York, was it Jersey, New Jersey, Maine, maybe. I feel like that's too far out though. But anyways, um, they tend to get these insect-like creatures, right? Of extraterrestrials that do a lot more of they're kind of brutal in the sense of the when they abduct and the experimentations they do on humans, which I think was interesting, really interesting. And then when you go more Midwest, depending on where you're at Midwest, so like the northern Midwest, really, you get the what do they call them? Pleiadians. Um, I feel like there's one more I'm missing in that one. The Greys. The Greys are really known there. Anyways, so the TV show is called UFO Witnesses, and it's actually really interesting. I think they lot of firsthand accounts, a lot of what is it? Why can't I think of it? A lot of firsthand accounts, a lot of just why can't I think of the investigations? What is it called?
The rear end of it was blocking my.
What is it called? I'm sorry, guys. My brain. I haven't had enough coffee or caffeine for the day. Um, I can't think of it. It's like having a guest host. Interviews, lots of interviews, lots of mapping, lots of looking into the history, a lot, tons of stuff, right? And what's also very interesting is when you're watching the show, a lot of the hot spots of which alien encounters happen usually happen within about an hour to an hour and a half outside of a base of some sort. But yeah, so now that I went off on my little tangent on aliens because of the Flatwoods Monster, let me know. Have you guys ever experienced anything? Do you know someone who has seen the Flatwoods Monster? I mean, this happened in the 1950s. So I'd imagine some people are still fairly alive. Don't mean to sound so like that. Um, if you ever visit West Virginia, officials in Flatwood have erected a welcome sign which designated the town as the home of the Green Monster, The town also commemorates the legend in its annual Flatwoods Days Festival. There's also Flatwoods Monster Museum, which is dedicated to the legend. Braxton County Convention and Visitors Bureau also built a series of 5 tall chairs in the shape of the monster to serve as landmarks and visitor attractions. Let's see. 2013, there was a West Virginian rock singer, Argyle Goolsby, released a song called The Being, which is referencing the Flatwoods Monster. If you're a big golfer, Fallout 76 contains a reference to the legend. The creature was also a subject of a 2018 documentary called The Flatwoods Monster, A Legacy of Fear, which was produced by Small Town Monsters, an indie production company documenting unusual events throughout America. And there was a TV show. This is why I think there's some more, but I just couldn't find it. In television, the second episode of the 2019 History Channel series Project Blue Book is titled The Flatwoods Monster, which is also based on the incident. So with that, yeah, I started to do my research and I was like, I want a shirt and I want a candle. And the candle smells like cooking marshmallows over an open fire, which was pretty awesome because I haven't been camping since I was like way young. But anyways, yeah, so that's the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any stories on the Flatwoods Monster, know someone else who has stories on the Flatwoods Monster, or anything you'd like to hear or share in the next coming episodes, please let me know. You can always find me on social media, and feel free to leave any feedback that you have. I love talking to everyone, and I hope you all have a great evening. Okay, bye. Well, that concludes this episode of the Paranormal Misfits. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest, make sure you subscribe to this podcast on whichever platform you're listening to on. And give me a follow on Instagram at Paranormal Misfit. If you have your own spooky paranormal story you'd like to share or want to hear about a particular lore, place, or whatnot, please feel free to drop me a DM in Instagram. And on that note, I will catch you all later at the next episode, my ghouls.